Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm here with Han and Holden Nguyen, who were contestants on season 37 of The Amazing Race. And not only that, they happen to be local from the Bay Area, which is really cool. Definitely big fans of their story. And if you're a fan of the show, this season was pretty incredible, and they were a big part of that story. So when I realized that they're also from the Bay Area, I had to reach out and connect. And so I super appreciate both of you for taking the time today to share your story with me.
Thanks for having us,
Yeah,
Jordan.
no worries. Excited to be here.
So pretty incredible story. I know I'm sure you've probably told it a thousand times already on how it all came to be. But before we get into the Amazing Race, tell us about kind of where you grew up and the kind of the backstory of your family and kind of what you guys are up to these days.
Yeah, for sure. So both of our parents are first generation Vietnamese immigrants, so we're second generation. They basically came from nothing. They came they came to America with a dream and then they executed.
That's awesome.
And so something that was really key and pivotal in our story on The Amazing Race and something that we channeled when we reached hurdle after hurdle after hurdle was having faith that that fighting spirit of fleeing war, um, like trying to make ends meet, um, and like successfully making ends meet and like living in the Bay Area and like having a family, like that fighting spirit was within us. Um, we have a middle sister. Her name's An. She's the sweetest person in the entire world. She has cerebral palsy. I think she's a huge reason of why we are the way we are today. I think she's
Mm,
really taught us that, like, of the things in life that actually matter. So, spoiler alert, we didn't get the $1 million. It was pretty heartbreaking when you commit your life to and like to suffering for like 3 weeks on national television and not getting that end result that you so badly desire. But like we are still so content with our journey and how it panned out and have realized that, second place, there's no shame in getting second place. And so now that the show's over, just on my end, and Holden can jump in, but I'm kind of at a crossroads in terms of trying to figure out what my career, like what I want my career to look like. Um, and I think these past 2 years actually, I've been on like a career sabbatical,
mm.
traveling, following my heart's desire, and then somehow, life made its way to Han doing the Amazing Race with her brother. And now I'm kind of at this point where I have all of these tools and all of this confidence to pave my own path, but at the same time, like it's scary when your parents came from nothing and they've instilled an
Totally.
idea of stability into you. And like it's so easy to just go back to climbing the corporate ladder and that health insurance. So currently trying to figure out how to make creativity in the driver's seat. I love to write, check out my Substack.
Yeah, I've checked it out. It's awesome.
Thank you, Jordan. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten positive feedback, so
Yeah, you're a good writer.
thank you.
Um, I appreciate and I want to hear from you, Holden, as well. But I appreciate just the how raw you guys were on the show and showing that aspect of your struggles, the cultural dynamics, the family dynamics, and all of those things were at play. And there was other teams that were either boring or really like some of the married couples. It was hard to watch some of their interactions, and it's just to see you guys, even though you had your struggles as all siblings do, and we've all taken road trips with siblings or to do something that challenging with the cameras on, I can't even imagine. But it's really cool to see that you're in that place of your options are open. And what a cool sabbatical. I mean, some people maybe take a semester off, but you kind of like supercharged it.
It was supposed to be 6 months, and somehow it's been 2 years. So
That's so cool.
we got to get back on
That's
track
so
at some
cool.
point.
And then Holden, I was reading some stuff. You're getting some shout outs from your media and on campus, different papers and stuff like that. So talk about where you're at right now and kind of what you're in the middle of.
Yeah, so I just graduated from Stanford
No big deal.
yeah, about a month ago. And so because I took a leave of absence from Stanford, I took a quarter off. And so I'm gonna go study abroad in Australia in the fall.
Awesome.
So travel bug has not stopped. and then I'm gonna apply to grad school through Stanford, and then see where that takes me. So nothing super fancy yet. Just moving on. Like yeah, the race was a really nice detour. But yeah, just continuing on the path and seeing where that
That's
leads.
awesome. Did you feel like, obviously, both with what your parents had been through and how you grew up, and then also obviously Stanford is not easy to get into, let alone graduate from. So congratulations on that. But
I appreciate
do you
it.
feel
Thank
like
you.
those things maybe inadvertently prepared you for the challenge of the show, because maybe you had some skills or some strength that you didn't even realize until the pressure was on, and things like you said, having immigrant parents, graduating from Stanford, do those things kind of help you through the show, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think that like something that's really important is just um, kind of taking everything as practice, like all hard things are practice for other hard things.
That's good.
So like I don't know, I think that like I think Stanford is like an achievement.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like molded who I am, but I don't think that it's like this like that is the sole reason. Just like I think my parents worked really hard. I think that is like a factor. I think a lot of things are just a bunch of factors.
Right.
And I think that like in terms of preparation for the race, I think you kind of get used to being uncomfortable
Mm,
in life. I think when you're too comfortable in life, life recognizes that and makes you uncomfortable. And just taking that in stride and then kind of applying all of that into to like one really pressurized like zero sum type situation like the race.
yeah, that's really good perspective. um One of the best things about Stanford is the network, right? Or even just the Bay Area in general. I know, Han, working in energy or working in tech, you the networking in the Bay Area, and everyone wants to kind of talk trash about California. I think it's because they're jealous, for one. But growing up in the greater Bay Area, Northern California, not only is the weather incredible, the diversity, the food, but just the opportunity, right, for entrepreneurship or education. So as you think about your college network, or even the network that you're gaining now through the show, right, through Paramount and CBS, and all your classmates and your teammates and your competitors, like, how has that been? Just the friendships that you made? Are you keeping in touch with any of the contestants?
Yeah, I think here's the thing with networking. I think networking is probably one of the most powerful forms of strategy. This is broader speaking, like most powerful forms of strategy if you know what you want,
Yeah.
if you know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, it can, I personally think, probably hinder you more than help you because everyone is going to have their own opinion. Everyone is going to have their own advice. And
Mm,
learning how to cut through the noise of life is something that is a skill to be like refined. And I
yeah.
think something, and kind of accounts to our journey on the race, is we really used relationships to get to where we got to in our race. I think if there's like a saying that's like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Hmm.
And there's so many relationships that we built on the show that like we still have to this day and like cherish close to our hearts. And I think that's part of the reason why people wanted to help us was because like we are genuine people and like we do give to receive.
Hmm.
So there's that. But if you're thinking about like in the broader scheme of like just the network of it all of the Bay Area and like Paramount Plus, and I think thank you for bringing that to our awareness level because um we know that we have it, but I don't think that we truly know how to tap into it yet. But something that Holden said that really resonated with me when we were trying to figure out this whole mess like prior to the show was like if we can figure out the race in the span of 3 weeks after
Mm.
never working together ever, we can figure anything out. So yeah, that those are the words that I'm kind of like keeping my brain as I walk in blind as I try to figure out my
Absolutely.
next career move.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you both of you are going to do fine regardless, obviously, and being a part of this kind of experience, I think hopefully have proved that to you. I mean, you could see the arc from the beginning of the show to the end of the show within yourselves. I mean, that you guys got closer. I think your confidence grew in each other and yourselves individually. And it was cool to see how, depending on the challenge or depending on the episode, one of you had to step up for the other. It was like and it was really cool to see that. Whereas you could see some of the other competitors were falling apart physically or mentally or whatever it was, and you guys were just staying steady. I mean, so for you, what were some of the things? Obviously, it was all, I'm sure, incredible seeing the whole world in about 3 weeks. I didn't realize it was that short. That's crazy. um it feels like it takes months, but how, I mean, what were some of your highlights? What were some of your lowlights? Like what what are some things that were like once in a lifetime memories? And what were some things that like you were like couldn't wait for it to be over?
I think like to me like the whole thing is kind of a highlight, you know.
Okay.
You get to spend time with your sibling, and then you get to travel for free. Um, and then you get to compete. Like those are all three things that like are really hard to come by in life, and then you get all three of them in one experience. So I think yeah, like personally to me, like I think like the difficulties of the race are like almost like minute compared to like what the experience it gives you and brings
Right.
you. To the point where like I don't know if I have any like lowlights. I just have things that I really, really enjoyed, and I think I really enjoyed the entire experience.
That's very cool. Very cool. What about you, Han?
There are definitely some arguments that they didn't show that were, you're sleep deprived, you're starved, you're sleeping on the hotel floor, you're with your sibling, and I'm not saying that like those arguments are a low light, but like we definitely got into the thick of it, and I don't I think that like I'm very proud of our relationship, but I want everyone to know that like our relationship is far from perfect, and
Sure.
it was something that we were actively working on every single day. And so like I don't want people to think like, "Oh, they just magically worked together and then they got second place." Like it takes work to like grow a relationship. And so like
Yeah.
to the people that are listening to this that have a sibling dynamic that they're struggling with, like I feel you, I hear you, and like I just hope that like our story like gives sheds light onto the fact that like it can and it will get better with work. Um,
Well, I
but
think you mentioned, yeah, you mentioned that whole dynamic of having your cultural background and your parents, and then also obviously the age difference between the two of you, and I have an older sibling and I have younger siblings, and I understand kind of that there's a gap between some of that. And so all those things were highlighted, and you mentioned even just the pressure of being, Asian or being older or all the different things. And so you really, I appreciate how authentic you both were in living out those real life emotions and those real life scenarios. It was to me, it was a powerful part of the show.
thank you, Jordan. And guys, I cried every single day. Like I did not have it mentally together. Like Han, like those moments when I like, knocked Carson off the boat. That was a cool moment. Top moment
Yes,
for sure.
yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Or just like, like getting that surfing in like one try. Like I was a mental wreck probably for 90% of it. And I remember coming home and my mom was saying, she was like, yeah, when I would think of you, I was like, Han is probably crying right now. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And so,
Yeah.
like, the race is so, it's brutal, but it's so beautiful. And I think that's just what life is. Like, if you allow yourself to be uncomfortable in the pain of life, not only does so much growth happen from it, but also, like, you allow yourself to feel like the true joy that, like, life
Mm.
embodies. So, I
Well,
don't
and I
know.
think it was cool to experience watching you guys because, again, whether you're married or whether you have siblings, like we can all relate to some of those dynamics. And watching you go from frustrating each other because of those differences to actually being like proud of each other because of those, because maybe your strength was your athleticism or your experience, maybe his strength was his demeanor and his like staying cool no matter what. And those things ended up being the thing that I think helped you survive when other people maybe in the beginning they started off stronger but they started falling apart. You guys just were steady, 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 and part of that was your youth and your energy, and part of it was your attitude. And I think as you figured out those dynamics, you just got better, and then you like realized within yourself it was almost like your game went up incrementally as your teamwork got better, so did your performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think yeah, it's just like everything takes time to figure out. Um,
Yeah.
Literally everything, like Han said. So, I like she said, the race is no different.
Was there when you're traveling, I know that you didn't get much time to spend in each location, but did you get to enjoy at all being in the countries you were in or trying the food, or was it just the contest and then you had to leave?
I don't know how much we're allowed to say, just because,
Sure, sure.
yeah, but I think when you're racing, you're enjoying the place that you're
Yeah.
in. At least for
Yeah,
me.
totally.
I
Totally.
feel like it's fine. We were locked in the hotel room. We couldn't leave in between legs. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I wasn't sure kind of how they do it on production, but kind of makes sense. Did you feel like you were back in the quarantine of the pandemic?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's a great example. Yeah.
Yeah. How was it, do you have any experience being on camera in the past, being ever doing interviews or films or anything?
No.
So how was it, strapping on a microphone and having a camera crew follow you everywhere and be running during private conversations? How was that adjustment for you?
Holden, do you want to take this one?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just part of the game, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you like, I don't know, I don't, you probably played high school sports or something. Like
Yeah.
when, like before like a high school sports game, like when you're playing soccer, you put on your socks,
Yep.
put on your shin guards, and then like you warm up and then you play. I don't think that the race is any different. Like they put the mic on, like that's your shin guards, and then you just warm up, you stretch, and then you play. Yeah, and then like the cameras in front of you, like they're just like part of the game. You
That's a
kind
good
of
way
get
to
used
look at
to
it.
everything around you. Um, you get used to talking to the camera, you get used to like all of it. It's just part of the game, and I think that's something that like is really really fun about it.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Well, to people, obviously, there's millions of fans of the show around the world. Uh, but to those that haven't seen the show, there are certain rules where basically every episode you're doing some kind of a competition, right? And then whoever, basically you get to the end goal and whoever is in last place usually gets eliminated. Well, at one point, you guys finished last in the competition. It happened to be a non-elimination round. What was that feeling like? And those emotions, I mean, that wasn't staged. That was a real, like you found out in the moment as well. Tell us about that part.
Do you want to take this one, Holden?
I feel like I've answered like the last three, but yeah, if you
You're good.
want
It
me
just,
to,
yeah,
sure.
just flow
I
with it.
mean, I can take it. I just
Yeah.
feel like I've been talking a lot, but
It's
I
fine.
can take it.
Yeah. Yo, go for it.
Okay. Um, Sorry, your question was non-elimination.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was as real as it gets. I think we kind of had an idea just because like they told us how many legs there were, and like you're doing the calculations because that's all you have to do when you're on the race is like, will we survive every
Yeah.
single
The way
day?
they edit it is so dramatic.
Yeah. But at the same time, like we weren't going to count our luck on anything. And I think part of the reason why we succeeded on the race so much was because like our strategy was to just take everything one step at a time. Like
Mm.
the second you let your brain think about the next leg or the $1 million, you will go insane. And that is what ended up happening to us in the last leg, I think. And that was what kind of led to our detriment. Um, but so like that being said, like we were really struggling with the cheese. It just happened to be like it got to
Oh,
be a messy leg. We got
that one
lost.
was crazy.
We were running around, my knees were in pain, whatever. Um, and I think like we were like, maybe there's a chance that it's non-elimination, but we've had such a great journey so far. There came a point where like the sausage guy gave us an espresso shot in Italy and we were like, hell yeah, we're gonna drink this. Are you freaking kidding me? We're in Italy
Yes.
and they're giving us an espresso
Is
shot and
that
we're dead
performance enhancing
last.
drugs?
Yeah, if it's performance enhancing drugs, like give it to me because I we're so far behind.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like we truly kind of like accepted our fate at that point. We're like, whatever happens, happens. And like, yeah, we're gonna be heartbroken about it, like if we're going home. But that dance with Phil, that was authentic. Like we really just wanted to live another day. And the fact that we did, it was like we were ecstatic.
Yeah. How's Phil in real life? He seems like a super nice guy.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah,
He's super good at his job. So he's
yeah,
fun to talk to, and it's just like, yeah, your day's over when you see Phil, and it's a very nice way to end your day.
yeah. He's legendary. He's been doing it a long time. I know there's 37 seasons, not necessarily 37 years, but how long has the show been going? It's good, at least
25 years.
25 years. Yeah, it's about right. Man, it's crazy. So I love that like a new generation is getting to love the show, right? And so how has it been? Obviously you guys competed, it was incredible, got second place, which is an amazing accomplishment. But coming home from that, knowing that you were kind of in a restricted environment and because that's how the production works, but getting to come home and finally tell your friends and family what you had been up to, because I know you probably signed a bunch of NDAs and all that. Like, how was that to be able to come home and reconnect with your friends and family and tell your story?
Honestly, we really kept it shut. Like some people
Mm,
will tell, but like we have a family that just can't trust them to hold water. And I mean that in like the best way possible,
yes,
genuinely.
they were excited.
Um, so they had no idea. They were along for the ride, like with like every normal viewer. Um, and so like we would get texts from them being like, "Holy crap, you made it!" No way.
Yeah,
Thought
yeah,
you would be gone in leg two. And we're like, valid. Like considering
yeah.
the way that like our dynamic was prior to the race, of just like constantly bickering, never solving anything. And just like to give like context, basically our dynamic was like we would see each other maybe once or twice every year. We would bicker or argue over something stupid like not putting down the toilet seat. We
Yeah.
wouldn't resolve it. We would just, I would fly back to the other side of the country and then Holden would go back to like whatever he was doing. And so like that was like our dynamic. And
Mm.
if we're taking that dynamic and trying to put that onto the race, it's called a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So, um,
Well, in the beginning, but you guys figured it out by the end.
yeah, yeah, we did.
Awesome. And so how has it been, being back, like you said, you kind of kept it quiet and let people reach out. How long has it been since you completed the show? And, kind of what have you, I know obviously graduated Stanford, congratulations. And you're kind of, starting some of your creative projects, Han, as well, and kind of considering what your next career move is going to be. But what has it been like after that whirlwind, kind of coming back to reality? What has that been like for you guys?
Is this for Han or is this for?
Both of you, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think that I just want to have fun. Like,
Yeah.
I think like fun like lives anywhere.
Yep.
So like yeah, I'm really excited, like super happy that I got to go to Stanford and I got to graduate. And so now I'm just looking at like the next step, um, which is looking like more Stanford and grad school. But yeah, super excited. I think that like especially when it comes down to like things like the race and whatnot, like I think that like fun lives anywhere. You just have to be willing to seize it. And I think that like we just were lucky enough that like when we like reached out and grabbed it, it like ended up in our hands.
Mm,
So yeah, I think that's what my future is like that's how I'm imagining it. It's like
yeah.
there is definitely a more fun option.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just try to choose that one. Yeah.
And for you, Han, what, based on this experience and what you've proven to yourself and kind of learned about yourself and your brother, for you, what are you taking with you into that next chapter?
Yeah, for sure. I think this is just like, because I think The Amazing Race, it was kind of like for me personally, it was a little detour that I took. And I
Mm,
think it's not like it was never going to be the main event, is kind of how I look at it. And just this 2-year career break in general. And I think that my journey has been one of such growth in terms of like confidence in my decision making ability, like
mm,
faith that things will work out for you. Like sometimes life will magically just grant you a non-elimination leg. And
yeah.
all you have to do is seize it, like kind of what Holden was saying. Um, and I think that that's something that I've really struggled with in my life of trying to fill the shoes of being the perfect child
Hmm.
for everyone except for myself. And so I think into this next chapter, like I'm freaking terrified. Like I'm so scared to like actually pursue my creative projects, but like I know that this is what I want to do. And so just like taking all of like the understanding and soul discovery that I've had of like the past 2 years and like full sending like what I actually care about, I feel like it I'm still like I would say at the edge of the cliff staring into the ocean. And I know I need to just take the jump. I've been procrastinating that jump for months now. And so just like knowing that it will work out and that when I do take that leap, it will be fine. That's kind of just like what I'm up to, I guess. But
That's awesome.
living
Well,
in the
appreciate you.
unknown.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, that's vulnerable, and I have a feeling based on your talent and your network and the experience you just went through that you'll probably be able to do better than whatever the prize money was going to be. I have a feeling you're going to be able to leverage all of this into opportunities that are going to be even better than that. And full send is such a California surfer thing to say.
Yeah, baby.
I love
Can't
that.
take it out of us.
I love that. We should do a little mini Amazing Race in Santa Cruz and just
Yeah, yeah.
have you, well, before I let you go, a couple things. One, I want to ask you where people can find you and all that, but have you done any local meetups, or are you open to hosting events or doing local meetups with fans? Have you done any of that kind of stuff?
We haven't, but we actually have an appearance at the Redwood City 4th of July parade
Nice.
this weekend. So I think most of the like appearances we've done has kind of been piggybacked onto others.
Yeah.
We're also just like we live in different places and like
Yeah.
I'm also moving to New York in 2 months to,
Oh,
figure it out,
congratulations.
do whatever. So no, short answer, no. But maybe in the future, if you
Yeah.
guys are interested, we don't,
Yeah.
we feel like we're just two people. So it's kind of weird when people say, "Oh, are you Han and Holden on The Amazing Race?" Still hasn't hit us.
Yeah, well, you are two people, but you're pretty, pretty unique, and you have an incredible story. And I appreciate that you were willing to go on this show and go through this experience because it was really inspiring to a lot of people. And it's really cool that you're from the Bay Area. Um, I think a lot, you have a lot of fans just in Northern California because of that reason, and very relatable. I love that you kept it real, that you weren't trying to like change for the camera, like these saying things like
No,
full send
that's
or
it.
whatever, you're like, you were saying those things in The Amazing Race. And it was like, oh, they're definitely from California, which is really cool because you had people from all over the US, right? And you could see some of those other accents and different personalities from across the country. Where can people find you? And do you want people to find you? I know you have your Substack, and I know you just finished up school, but do you guys have like a website, or do you feel like you're building your individual brands, or your sibling brand, or what's kind of next, and where can people find you?
If you want to look at all of the Amazing Race highlights, you can follow Team Asian Swag on Instagram.
Okay.
And I really only have Instagram, and I only really post on Instagram, so you can follow
Okay.
me at HOLE.DEN.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to build out my Substack like I've mentioned for the millionth time in this podcast.
No, it's awesome.
Also you can find me on Instagram. Both usernames are the same, Han B Nguyen. So HANBNGUYEN. And then my TikTok just has an extra N on it. So that's where you can find me. I'm
Awesome.
really trying to build out my individual brand. Um, yeah, follow along on the journey. I feel like The Amazing Race was just our launching pad, and we're
Hmm.
so excited to see like where our relationship can go from here, where we're both going to grow from here. So we
Well,
really
I can say,
appreciate all the support.
yeah, of course. I can tell you, I've seen different shows and productions over the years. I've been behind the scenes on some media stuff and some big events, and you guys definitely belong on camera. You definitely have, if that's the
That's so
path you want to
sweet.
go down, you definitely have the talent and the personality for it. And so don't be afraid to lean into it. And I think you guys, it's sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do next, you're going to be successful. So I'm super grateful to have spent this time with you today, and I'll be linking all the stuff when we post this so that people can follow along with the next chapter of your journey. But thank you so much, and thank you for doing the Bay Area proud, and hopefully we can connect at some point, maybe do a meetup. But hope you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for your time. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jordan. It was
Jordan. You're the
great.
best.